I first met Maggie more years ago than I think we'd care to admit, when she was a fellow at the museum at the Mandel Center. She was working at that point on the Chambon area, which is one town that really worked together to try to rescue the Jewish population that was there, but also other Jews too. It's one of the gleaming lights in the darkness that was the Holocaust, that you could really see humanity coming together to try to do what was morally right. And so it really stood out as being something that we should try to understand more and figure out how people can come together to try to protect the others, people who are not like them, and work together to save them, even at great personal risk. The exhibit here on the Danish rescue is another story that's like that, and people, even though it's not my museum, I will encourage people to go to it and see that as well. And so she's continued this with the musical aspect. Though she could have gone into academics, she decided to be more public-facing, which is wonderful, and try to show, resistance and resilience and hope through the music of this period. For me, it's given me a little solace because my father escaped from Nazi Germany at the age of 11 on a kinder transport. He went by himself to London. He did remember the Blitz, though he never talked about it. And so in some ways, I'm sort of hoping that maybe when he was in London as an 11-year-old boy, having escaped from Germany where he spent his most formative years being tormented and, called vile names and treated like vermin, that perhaps he went to one of these, or maybe one of these happened, and he found community, and maybe he found hope, and maybe a chance of being accepted. So I'm going to cling to that, and I hope you all enjoy tonight's performance. And with that, I'll hand things over to Maggie.
The Bomb Shelter Cafe was created very naturally. It was made first when I was just with friends in France, sitting around that fire in that stone cottage with the wind outside and feeling that comfort of connection and closeness. The next thing I knew, I was realizing that I could sing these kinds of songs with friends elsewhere, in other places, and create a place of connection and tenderness and closeness, even as the storms maybe were blowing outside. This is the Bomb Shelter Cafe. I tell a story in the book about a moment when I was writing this very, very hard story. And I was spending a lot of time going to the Holocaust Museum, which is really such an amazing resource. If you've been to Washington, if you're going to Washington, it is a remarkable museum. And of course, I was able to be a fellow there, and I could spend a lot of time there. And I would go to the archives during the day as well and look up these stories of these people's lives and trying to understand that moment. What was happening to people in the darkest places of their souls and the lightest places. So one day I arrived at the museum, and I was trying to catch the elevator. Robert will know that the elevator would run once every, about 10 minutes or something. And I was trying to catch the elevator. And a friend of mine who worked at the museum was ahead of me, and she stopped, she held it for me, and I came in, and she was standing there with a tiny little old lady. And I came into the elevator, and for those of you who've been here, you know that this is sort of the elevators there are sort of built, they're sort of steel, they evoke sort of the 30s and sort of a dark period. So here I am in this sort of steel elevator with this very nice person and this little tiny old lady. So my friend she says, "Oh, come on in, Maggie. This is Regina. Regina is one of our volunteers. Regina, this is Maggie. She's one of our scholars. And," she said, "Maggie sings in a big band." So this lily, she has a big green necklace on. She looks up at me and she goes, "Really?" She's very impressed. There was a scholar who cares. I sang in a big band. And so I said, "Yeah, I do. And in fact, my band, we do a song in Yiddish. I figured with her beautiful accent, this might be a Yiddish speaker. And she said, really? And so then I said, yeah, we do this song called Bei mir bist du schön, which means in Yiddish, to me, you are beautiful. And so I said, so she goes, Bei mir bist du schön. She starts singing it in the elevator, going up into the archives of the Holocaust Museum. And I can't believe what I'm seeing. And then I come in, like with the second line, of course. I'm like, please let me explain. She said, and then she leaves. She says, no, stop, no. You must sing it in Yiddish, the language of my ancestors through my mom. She went on, we're going up to the 5th floor, and little Regina with her green necklace sings to me this song in Yiddish. And when she gets to the last line, the doors are opening up, and she says, "Oi," like that with a flourish. This beautiful song, this beautiful woman singing these words about love, how you are beautiful to me, you are beautiful to me. So later I learned that the reason Regina came to the Holocaust Museum as a volunteer is because she was an Auschwitz survivor. And she was one of those people who would sit in the ground floor and open her heart and her life to children, school children, anyone who wanted to hear anything from her. So Regina didn't know it, but she changed my life. Because not only did I get to write a story about people who knew how to be good when it's hard to be good, but I saw somebody who knew how to live the worst things and still become the kind of person who could sing a song going up an elevator and give a stranger joy that way and open her heart and her life to children and tell of the worst things that ever happened to her. And in a way, this Regina is why I do this now, because we all have these moments where we say, this is the worst thing that's ever happened, and still I choose something else. I choose beauty. I choose that to me, you are beautiful. So, with that, a little bit of Bei mir bist du schön. Of all the boys I've known, and I've known some, until I first met you, I was lonesome. The next thing I knew, I was realizing that I could sing these kinds of songs with friends elsewhere, in other places. Moonlight on the highway, moonlight on the plain. I've tried